Hi, Nibber. This is Novels and Bits podcast, and I am your host, Chizoba Katie. How are we doing? This is the Shatter series, and this is book two, part two, on the final part. So, in the last episode, we've already seen Juliet at Omega Point and her abilities refusing to work because she's refusing to accept it because she's lived with the mindset for so long that her powers, all they can do is kill people. But then she finds out the other aspect of it is actually super strength. But even that makes her nervous. And in the midst of all of this, they go on this mission, and through it, she's able to see the outside world and what it looks like for the first time. And then she also sees Warner do something kind. Warner, she believes, is capable of the worst of the worst. And this person is feeding a stray dog. Warner feeds a stray dog, offers a stray dog warmth in his coat. How do you reconcile a monster to the person who does that? You get. So now that she's back here at Omega Point, next thing, some people that she's becoming friends with, some people with abilities too, they get kidnapped. And after those ones get kidnapped, another set of two other people she's getting to know, they're taken. These are her friends she's just getting to know. Okay? And then they now say that actually the section commander, that is Warner's father, is actually in Sector 45. I don't think it's called section commander, but yeah, we'll just get to it. We'll see what it's properly called. Apparently, he came into town a few days ago and has been on the low. Because he's been on the low but around is the reason why Warner was able to be with the soldiers and move around with them to try and locate Omega Point. You get. So now Juliette is just like, yo, this person is asking to see me, and we know that he's not trying to be friendly, and this is not like going to go well. And she does not know how to use any power she has. So is it not to die that she's going there to go and die? Do you understand? So this is the point where we left things in the last episode. Now, they shall suit Juliet up, and this meeting that she's going to have with Warner's father is holding at this address that used to be someone's home, but that place now is on regulated grounds. So Adam, Juliet, and Kenji link hands. Adam, he has been working on disabling his ability so that it doesn't cancel out Kenji's own. Like that is so Kenji is able to cloak him in invisibility. Because normally if Adam touches you and have an ability, your ability should not work. So it's taking a lot of effort on his part, and that's really commendable. Now, Castle and others actually went ahead of Adam, Juliet, and Kenji, in that region that this meeting will be happening because they are expecting war. Now, three of them, Adam, Juliet, and Kenji, they walk while staying invisible. They initially arrive on the streets when they see this one house in great condition and it appears someone is living there. Kenji thinks it's a trap, so they move on from there. Now they get to the real location where they're going to be meeting with Anderson. The men stay behind. That is Kenji and Adam stay hidden. And this house is dilapidated, rightfully so, because no one has lived here in how many decades. And the door now swings open. Wano's father is very handsome. Looks like he's in his 40s. And he has this deceptively sincere tone, only to slam her up against the wall and disarm her of all her weapons. So he now tells her that actually today is an eradication of the freaks. So there is not a fighting chance. They never actually had a fighting chance. But despite all of it, Warner, who's never asked his father for a favor in his entire life, begged his father to spare Juliet. But Daddy doesn't plant her. He can't stand the weakness in his son, as per Juliet being his son's weakness. And also, he didn't expect Juliet to be pretty. He plans to make her a plaything, sort of. Now, next thing, Warner comes into view. Apparently, Warner was standing somewhere there. Anderson is the father's last name. Warner is actually the last name of his mom, Warner's mom. That's what he preferred to take. Dad wants to shoot Juliet, but decides to let Warner clean up his dirty deed instead. As per you, shoot her. So instead of shooting at her, Warner swings his gun in his dad's direction, and his dad starts laughing. He now says, "Aaron, you can't." So his name comes out here. In fact, since Aaron has been young, he tried so many times to kill his father. His father will wake up and see young Aaron trembling, pointing knife or something at him, but he's never just been able to go through it. So Anderson starts beating up Aaron, now presses the arm in sling. Aaron's hand, that is Warner's hand, is in a sling because Juliet shot at it. And he's still healing, and the boy has been moving about, or the man has been moving around. He hasn't really allowed his body to rest and recover fully. So his father's beating him up. He presses that arm in the sling so bad, the cotton is now gets covered in fresh blood. Aaron doesn't make one sound. Pew, he does not. So Anderson is so much worse than Juliet thought. She doesn't even realize she's moving until she's pinning him against a wall with her hand around his neck. God, she feels hatred and fury in her blood. She makes him drop the gun. And she now shoots him in both legs. And she's actually going to shoot his heart. Like, she's having an out-of-body experience right now. Because she's like, yo, you're such a bad person. You get, she doesn't even realize she's using her strength. It's now Kenji that stops her and says that they can't just yet. And Kenji is actually staying invisible. So Anderson doesn't even see him there in the room. Now, Anderson is passed out. They now decide to take Warner. They want to use Warner to trade for the two others of their friends because they found two of their friends in the kitchen already, though those ones are in a bad way. They now said, okay, like let's get out of here and go. Adam now comes in and he's now shocked. The way he's terrified when he sees Anderson's face. Anderson is Adam's real dad. The one he thought was gone as by he's dead and everything. Nah. The guy is alive. Yo. Now, they shall have to get out of there ASAP because Castle has started the war. 50 of their people to 500 of the soldiers. But Shah, 50 of their people are still holding their own, even if they're bloodied. In the center of everything, Castle is creating a cyclone with debris and coal. So the Shah have to inform him that Anderson is down, that they need to get away. But nobody can really get through to him with the cyclone, like this tornado of, things and. So they have to create a distraction. So Juliet has to summon all her emotions because that's the only way she knows to make her powers work. She slaps her hand against the ground, causing an earthquake. Soldiers are running to get away. Adam dies for Castle. The moment he dies for him, obviously he disables Castle's gift, informs him what's up. Immediately, members of the resistance, they start retreating, you get. Now, Kenji now signals Juliet to stop. Kenji is the one carrying Warner, and it makes her wonder just how strong is Kenji that you can carry this guy like, this guy deserves credit though. Now, Juliet rides with the men, Kenji, Adam, and now an unconscious Warner. Warner is lying in her lap and Adam learns, whoa, so this means I'm related to this monster. Adam's parents were actually never married, but Anderson apparently loved Adam's mother, just her. He blamed his sons, Adam and James, when she died and would often return to just beat Adam up and leave. So Adam believed his mom's death was his fault for a long time. Initially, his dad would send money. That's Anderson would be sending money. But after 2 years, Adam got a letter from the government notifying him of his dad's passing. That was the end of money being sent to them. So Adam now had to join the army as a way to provide for James. Everything is just so messed up. Castle is so grateful for Juliet's involvement in Today, how that saved them. And this was her first official assignment and it went better than they expected. Now, they now puts Juliet in position as per, you're going to be the one to question Warner. And till now, Juliet has not told a single soul that Warner can actually touch her without getting hurt. She's still keeping it a secret. And she's never to enter his room. She has seen so many sides of him. She doesn't even know which one to expect as she's going now to question him, okay? So when she enters the room that they're keeping Warner in, it's a room because they don't have any cells in that Omega point. Warner is wearing a simple white t-shirt and trousers. His hand is fine because the healer girls worked on him. So it's like the shooting and the hand thing never happened. You get? That's the kindness they showed him. So he has her journal and she's so shocked. Like, oh my God. Why do you have that? The worst part, he's gone through it so many times. He even starts reading some of her vulnerable bits to her face. And she's not begging him to stop. He doesn't. He now tells her that he's sorry for kissing her, that he didn't know she didn't want it. So me here, I was now wondering, what gave you the idea she wanted it at all in the first place? Before the story started, we actually saw Warner's perspective. There's a tiny novelette that Tahereh Mafi releases in between phone novels. So Warner's perspective, he senses emotions. This might be a bit of a spoiler. It's just something that he just has the capacity to do since he was young. So when Juliet initially came, he sensed her repulse, how she hated him. But over the weeks, she seemed more affable around him. He sensed that she seemed more open and more loving. And he assumed that those feelings were towards him. He didn't know it was towards Adam. Adam, who is like a robot, that he never senses anything come from him. Because of Adam's disabling gift, Warner can't sense anything Adam is thinking or feeling. But he can sense it from any other person. Do you understand? That was why you get. So he actually assumed that, Juliet liked him based on what he felt coming from her, the emotions. That's why he had kissed her, but he hadn't known. So when she relays Castle's intention of wanting to use Warner as ransom, that is to get their friends back, Warner just tells her, don't waste your time. That my father would have already even forgotten I exist. Don't waste your time. Do you get? Now, Kenji, Adam, James, and Juliet are having lunch. Kenji now explains why he didn't kill the Supreme Commander, that they don't have someone yet to replace him. Yes, they actually heard right. They're telling everybody that it's actually Kenji that shot the Supreme Commander. That is Warner's father, Anderson. They're not saying it's Juliet that did it. So Adam doesn't even know that it's Juliet that did it. It's just Kenji that knows. So he's now explaining to James that, yes, the reason why we cannot kill the Supreme Commander yet is because it would create chaos if he died. No one can replace him. Or worse yet, someone worse might replace him. So James hurts himself while trying to break bricks like Juliet effortlessly does. That's one thing she has figured out how to do. Touch bricks, break them into sand. So he's like, oh, that maybe I have an ability too. Let me try this one. So he hurts himself in the process. Before Juliet and Kenji's Korokoro eyes, a deep gash on James's hand closes quickly. And James now says, yeah, that's how it's always been. Doesn't that like happen to everybody? They're like, yo, no, that does not happen to everybody. So Kenji's like, okay, I'm going to take you to see the healer twins because apparently James has a healing gift. And this has actually been 2 days since the war, the Anderson showdown thing. Adam has a private word with Juliet. She shows him how more and more dangerous she discovers she is, the more she trains. As per the more I'm training, I'm seeing that I'm actually really stronger than I thought I was, and I could really hurt you. She now tells him, in fact, Kenja has not told you, but let me tell you the truth. I was the one that shot the Supreme Commander. Regardless, Adam is not willing to give up on them. He's willing to give her time she needs to get herself better trained. Now, Warner, they happen to be taking him past that passage. And he has his hands tied behind his back. But he sees both of them having this conversation. And he now goes like, oh, it's so touching. He speaks cruelly, like Anderson. Warner is now saying that Adam is groveling for love, blah, 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 that he's just making an idiot of himself. So Castle takes him away before the whole thing can escalate. Castle now confronts Juliet a little later that Warner told me you can't touch him. Why didn't you say anything? Juliet now tells Castle, I didn't want Adam to know. Juliet doesn't even tell Castle that Adam and Warner are brothers. She feels it's their secret to tell, it's not hers. You get? Now, Castle believes Warner is one of them, as per he's a gifted one. That if he accepts to be for them, Castle is actually going to take him in. That's part of his vow from years ago when he established Omega Point. Not exactly what Juliet was expecting, because why would you want to take in the bad guy? The more Juliet thinks about Warner snitching, the angrier she gets. Like, yo, this person is trying to sabotage me. So she marches to his room. The guards let her in, but Warner is sleeping. He's sleeping in his briefs, nothing else. He looks innocent, he looks peaceful. She sees her journal because he said he's not going to give her back her journal, but she sees it there in his outstretched open hand. She's now sneaking close to take it back. But then she notices a tattoo on his back. And it just says ignite in cap, like in cap form. Capital letters boldly. Also, his back is shredded with scars. And then he now wakes up. She now asks, who did this to you? She just feels she can murder someone for this. Like, who dared shred your back that way? He now answers, it doesn't matter. Their conversation leads her to admitting she doesn't hate him. That she's actually tried to hate him. She doesn't understand him sometimes, but at the end of the day, he's just 19. It's too early in someone's life to decide they're the villain. Like her, he never got a chance at life. The way she talks makes him smile. He now says that he would like to be her friend. Do you know how Juliet reacted to this? She flees. Auntie runs. Next thing, she's having breakfast with her friends when Cass reminds her they need information from Warner. So you should actually be with him there and questioning him. She has to go back to see him. They wind up talking about books, language, art. He doesn't agree with destroying all the arts and literature stuff. But at the end of the day, he's just a soldier following others. Now, most soldiers tend to have tattoos on their bodies. You get all these bands and cool, but one has always found that repulsive. He never liked that branding because he sees it as a branding when they put all these tattoos on soldiers. But for him personally, the tattoos he has on his body, like the Ignite, there are ways for him to immortalize words, even if books are destroyed. So he has one down by his hip bone, sort of, that reads, Hell is empty, all the devils are here. That one was inspired by Shakespeare. They're actually really connecting, and it scares Juliet. To Warner, being held hostage is actually a vacation away from the hardness that is his usual life. Knowing what Juliet was sent for, that she sent to question him, he just wants her, prepare for war the day after tomorrow. Civilians will be attacked. Orders from my father. He also relays where Winston and Brendan would likely be held at the base, so and so place. Now everybody's in full preparation mode for battle, but there's a ruckus. Aaron, that's Warner, created a dent in the steel door. Juliet has to go and see what the matter is. So apparently Castle offered him a chance to join them. That's what he's telling Juliet. And Warner thinks it's pathetic. It shows the resistance is weak. That what do you guys think I am, that I'm just going to change? That's embarrassing. I'm not a kind person. That for me, it's kill or be killed. That Juliet, you're the strongest person here. And he often imagines that they can be together. So earlier, he already apologized for training her how he did. That I put you in that room. I thought I was helping you. It was how I was trained. That he actually knows she's going to be great and he just wants to be a part of her greatness. He even has most of her journey memorized. It's like his life, but on paper. Right now, though, he tells her that vacation is over. He's going to find a way out. Now, this is 12 hours before departure time, for the war. Everyone is assembled at the dining hall. When Castle breaks the news to them that Warner is like them and he wants to join in the war, there's pandemonium because Juliet just spoke to him earlier and this guy has no intention of joining. So what's this thing that Castle is announcing? People are heavily distrustful. Warner, Sector 45 leader, Castle now has to remind the people. See, Warner is just a 19-year-old who also felt out of place like you people did. Now, Adam wants to know how Castle knows Warner has a gift. So Castle has to now admit that just like Adam, Warner can also touch Juliet. Adam runs off. Juliet has to pursue him. She starts explaining how Warner touched her when they were trying to escape the base and nothing happened to him. That's when she found out. She skips the kissing part and feeling attracted to him part, surely. Now, Adam now says, why am I surprised? We share the same DNA. Now, Warner is in the hallway. He appears in the hallway, but I don't think he heard that last part. He has this whole confrontation thing with Adam. And then Kenji now jumps in between to separate them. That is to separate Warner and Adam's scuffle. Juliet is angry. She's also trying to get in between them. And then suddenly, Kenji is slumping. Everything just happens so fast. She now looks down at her hands and sees it's bare. She forgot to wear gloves. So perhaps she accidentally touched Kenji. And she's now screaming. She calls the attention of Castle and everyone. They now rush Kenji off to the medical wing. They're crying and Warner joins her. He admits that it's not you. You're not the one that made Kenji slump. That's me. He now tells her about the whole, he's always been able to feel other people's emotion deeply. Is what has helped him to be in charge for so long. With Adam, because of his, in quotes, as far as Warner is concerned, what Adam's gift is useless. As for why should you disable the abilities of other people like you? But Juliet is resisted telling him because of his useless, in quote, ability, we are not able to pinpoint him and his intentions there. But she doesn't say, she listens to him. Anyhow, when I saying that he thought Adam was robotic because he couldn't read him, Kenji employed a different strategy. The reason why Warner did not know that Kenji was there on an underground mission, undercover mission, is because Kenji made himself the kind of soldier that was too much of a troublemaker. He was too friendly with Kent. That was where he'd fail hand. Now, back to matters at hand. Warner actually passed Juliet's energy to Kenji, but it wasn't on purpose. So apparently he's a channeler. He can channel. He demonstrates again the touch. She feels nothing. As they're touching, she feels normal. Okay. But then his palms, he now sinks one of his palm into the ground and he creates a hole there. He can't ever be hurt by her. Instead, he stores her energy and passes it across. But he's not going to be helping in the fight. He believes that Castle's optimism would be the death of him. He's going away. That here isn't for him. He wears this tortured look because he's trying to ask Juliet a question, but Adam comes running their way. Juliet now asks Warner, just stay, I'm coming. She now rushes to go and meet Adam. He's been looking for her. She is his voice that she heard and she ran out, So Adam did not see her with Warner. Adam is now telling Juliet, it's not your fault. That what happened to Kenji is not your fault. That I know for certain that you were not touching Kenji. She now says, okay. Hold on. Please, just a minute. Let me use the bathroom. But actually, she goes to check in on Warner, and Warner is gone. Now, with Adam, she visits the medical wing. Kenji isn't conscious. In as much as he's not unconscious anymore, he's just sleeping. James is upset. He climbs into bed with Kenji and falls asleep. Castle, the twins, Adam and Juliet, they're all there. Breakfast is going to hold in the morning so they can remind everyone they need to maintain a united front, that they're one family. Castle now shares that he actually met 9-year-old Kenji who was freezing and had so much pride. Kenji grew up here in Omega Point. Kenji actually has so much hurt and secrets lurking behind his easy jokes, how he's always like jovial and playing. Now, they can't all watch Kenji, right? They all need rest. So Adam carries James back to the room and walks Juliet back to her room where she'll be spending time alone because the twins are staying back at the medical wing with Kenji and Castle. Juliet is dressed for bed when someone knocks on her door. It's not Adam. So she hesitates to let the person in, but she finally does. This is Warner. Warner came to see her. He wants her to run away with him. Okay, I don't know how we got here so quickly from being all crazy over Adam to having feelings for Warner and then to the point Warner is like, run away with me. That was fast. Girl, you move quickly. She doesn't give an answer, but things get heated between them. And before this thing happens, that's where you see that popular book talk line of, please don't ship me again before they start kissing. That's what he says. This is an extremely heavy makeout section packed with so much emotions. She's reeling because her touch doesn't hurt him. So she can let loose as much as she wants because he's just going to absorb it, okay? But she remembers Adam and panics. She feels like a monster. And Warner is extremely hot. He was ready to be Aaron to her, different. And now he's treated like a clown. She explodes. She tells him exactly what she thinks of him and his double weight. You're sweet one minute, you're horror the next. And he's scared, considering everything he went through. That's what she's telling him. You can't even allow yourself time to be with different people, people that believe in you. So Warner tells her, I don't want your pity, that I thought you'd be different. I thought you'd be the one for me. She actually doesn't want him to leave, because he's so hurt, but he's pulling away from her. He now tells her, this is the last time I'll see you. He certainly hopes so. Now, wartime, everyone leaves first. Kenji is back on his feet barely. Once more, is a team of him, Adam and Juliette. When they approach the compound, the metal boxes that's home to civilians have been destroyed. 27 of those people are lined out to be killed by a firing squad. One person is shot down, one of the 27. But then they now shoot down the 6 soldiers that are meant to be the firing squad. There's an explosion. When Juliet gets to where the massacre happened, she is too stunned. There's too many dead bodies. A soldier tackles her. She can't get her gloves off fast enough. And, she doesn't quite know how to use her strength and cool. It's just her hands. If she can just touch somebody, touch something. But in her struggle, with the soldier, she crushes his wrist. Now, 3 more soldiers pounce on her. She's knocked in the head. She's barely conscious. She's taken to a tank. And she thinks to herself, I'm going to die. She's brought to that blue house that's well maintained. That one, she was convinced that someone lives there. And, Kenji was like, no, it's a trap. Just in case someone comes here and they'll finish them off here. Anderson is there. She's carried up the stairs and someone is instructed to beat her. A woman speaking a language that she doesn't understand. Now, Juliet wakes up in a t-shirt and shorts. She takes the stairs and the stairs make a creak. Anderson invites her down to take a seat. It's a very one-sided conversation. Apparently, he collected Juliet for justice. So Warner runs in and is panting hard, breathing fast. So, when Warner came back, Anderson noticed that, Warner's hand was completely healed and knew that among those gifted, there are people that have healing gifts. So he had the twins collected too because they have to heal his crippled legs. Juliet crippled him. Now, it's Warner's mom who actually lives here in this house. She's sick. And Warner stayed in Sector 45 for her, which Anderson finds is graceful, who's attached to his mom at that age, So she did confirm earlier from Kenji and Adam that Warner is actually the devil, as per when Warner was training them back when they were soldiers under him, that Warner did some very despicable things. To even have his authority means he even did. Anderson makes a reference to something like that again here. Like, do you even know what he did to be in power here? You guys, but before she can even wrap her head around everything happening, Anderson shoots her in the chest. In those moments before Juliet dies, she's thinking to herself, man, I was so much of a people pleaser. Man, I didn't even mark at all. Man, if I had a chance to do things over, I'll start by killing Anderson. Those are those thoughts going through her head, even as blood and life is ebbing out of her. So Anderson leaves after shooting her like it's no biggie. The girls are here already, the twins. So in the aftermath of everything, like as her consciousness is flickering in and out, so she hears Warner convince the girls to touch him because the girls can't touch Juliet, have no glove to touch her. You get, so Warner can't touch her. And since he's a channeler, he channels the girls' healing gifts. He asks the girls to touch him. So he channels their healing gift into Juliet, their healing power. And the thing feels like heat when it enters her. It's a good type of heat. Juliette passes out. When she wakes up at night, Warner is sleeping beside her in his childhood bedroom. The t-shirt and shirt she was wearing earlier actually belonged to Warner from when he used to live here. She feels weak, but she also feels like she's also aged 50 years. She's ready to fight. She's ready to become that weapon of mass destruction. Oh, Anderson also has no idea she's alive. Warner is hiding her. He's going to be hiding her for a while. So this is where Unravel Me ends. And we're going to see how, with Juliet actually embracing her abilities, what comes next. Because, guys, it's so good. All right? So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Don't forget to leave a review. Tell someone about the show. Share. Okay? It helps so much, much more than you know. I'll see you in the next episode, in the next book.